This full moon in Cancer has a more money, more problems kind of vibe, where we're having to make difficult decisions based on good things or progress that we've achieved. And we might be having to choose the lesser of two evils. If you're excited or just wanting to dive into what this full moon in Cancer holds for you as we start out the year ahead, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. Firstly, we're going to dive into the overall energy of this full moon, what it is energetically and composed of astrologically. Then we will get into how I see this playing out for the US and the financial markets. If you have not already seen your forecast for the month ahead for your rising sign, make sure that you do watch that February forecast, which will be out soon. Also, the 2022 year ahead forecasts are all out, so you can get a preview for the year ahead if you have not already seen that for your sign. And two mentions, Swan Bitcoin, safest, easiest place to buy Bitcoin. Not sponsored, but I have a referral link down below. It helps me out a little bit and probably helps you a little bit too because you get $10 of free Bitcoin when you sign up. Also, Cointelegraph Markets Pro is the tool I use to get an edge in the market. It provides you with news alerts and trending coins that I use to get advantage in front-running trades. If you're new, I am Maren. I'm an astrologer and a crypto trader and investor. I make content about both, and today we're going to focus specifically on the astrology of the full moon in Cancer. I am using tropical Western astrology, mostly Hellenistic Greek traditional astrology. That's kind of the background I have with the tropical zodiac and whole sign houses, all that jazz. This full moon in Cancer is on January 17th, 2022 at 6:47 p.m. Eastern. On other videos, I might have mentioned December 18th because going back and forth between New York and Dubai, the time zone changes, but late, it's in the evening on the 17th in Eastern time. And full moons are always the sun opposite the moon. So sun is in Capricorn and moon is in Cancer. The moon is in 27 degrees of Cancer, which is the third of Cancer, the third decan. And the third decan of Cancer is ruled by the moon. All of Cancer is ruled by the moon. And this third decan has a specific emphasized rulership of the moon. And it's associated with the Four of Cups tarot card, known as the Lord of Satiety or Luxury. It shows an overflowing cup, and it also shows that there's like three figures and they're being offered a fourth cup, but they aren't interested because it's showing that we generally have enough abundance to be able to discern if we actually want to deal with more. Because with more abundance comes more challenges in some ways. That, for example, if I'm handling more capital, there are more challenges, good challenges that come with the management of that capital. If you own a home, there is management with that home that does not mean you don't want the home, but means you have to grow up a bit to be able to manage that. And there can be the downside of trying not to feel spoiled in the way that you deal with these issues. The sun is at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And this is associated with the Four of Pentacles tarot card that corresponds to the third decan of Capricorn, which is known as the Lord of Power. More about material power, actual ownership, material goods, and it shows that usually you have options because you're in the position of power, you have enough money, resources, things at your disposal to make decisions that require responsibility. And given that the sun is conjunct Pluto, a planet of manipulation, of transformation, of psychological crises, there seems to be an extreme power dynamic at hand where you are in the business of either manipulating or being manipulated to a certain extent, and you're doing something that takes guts and may seem cutthroat or easily misunderstood. That the moon in Cancer is very sensitive, it is very loving, it is very soft, but Sun, Pluto, and Capricorn is like this, watch me bitch, we have something to do, we have a job, we have a contract, we have a quota to fill. So I do like that the moon is trying Neptune within 6 degrees, usually shows that there's spiritual trust or a higher purpose alongside this difficult decision, but full moons are energetic climaxes or high points or releases. So it could be an ending because you were able to make a difficult decision that then removes a certain dynamic, relationship, interest, kind of dynamic from your life. It's probably you playing the bad guy, hurting someone's feelings, but having to do so because of the material responsibility that you have. That is very Sun Pluto opposite the full moon in Cancer. It does have the repeating theme from something that would have been a crisis late 2019 or early 2020, because this is at 27 degrees of Capricorn, right around where early 2020 there was a Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto South Node conjunction indicating a mass removal and destruction of power struggles and life. Literally show the beginning of an economic destruction of small businesses, vitality in the country and in the world, and also also the growth of a pandemic, that loss of life, loss of economy, etc. So it's repeating the theme of where that was in your chart. So think to 2019, 2020, where the pandemic showed up for a vast transformation in your life. For example, is in my first house of self, right on my ascendant. I'm thinking back to how that skyrocketed me in social media and gained notoriety, that this could be a full moon of release of something difficult I have to do with cutting a cord about my identity or where I'm headed. I already have kind of an idea given some seriousness and some, like, I don't know, growing up I'm doing. Mars does have a tight square to Neptune, which I don't particularly like. Mars square Neptune can be indirect. It can be the fact that spiritual purpose can cloud actually taking action. So I would be a little bit, I would be aware of the fact that there could be a lack of actually taking action alongside the beautiful inspiration at hand. Or we do something and then don't follow through, like we cut the cord but then don't send, like, I don't know, it's like you hire someone and then you don't send the W-9 or something like that, where like you do the difficult thing but then you don't follow through with like what that actually means. And so it's kind of like, so make sure you're following through. If you already know what area of your chart Cancer and Capricorn are, and therefore where you might feel the hurt in the Cancer house but have to be the bad guy in the Capricorn house, let me know down below. I'm already like, oh shit, full moon in my 7th house, what relationship? What do I have in my life that's a relationship that could be ending? But whatever, we'll see. In the United States' chart, this is right on top of the US Pluto in the 2nd house of finances, so it definitely illuminates financial difficulties or a kind of cord cutting or letting go. With Mercury retrograde on the South Node in the 3rd house, there could be a going back on something regarding the media, or reversing or rethinking kind of media, social media regulation, or some decision that would have been made. Venus is also exactly opposite the US natal sun in the 8th house, so definitely looks like a big financial rethinking or backpedaling. And Venus is also tightly squared its natal Saturn in the Libra 11th, so upending structures, upsetting the public, or rethinking a verdict or regulation is likely. In the S&P's chart, it's not the most active. There's not that much going on. Mars is trine Pluto. The Sun Pluto is loosely trine its natal Mars. It's loosely helpful, but not super indicative. It likely is not, the most intense time for this. In Bitcoin's chart, there's a possibility of a full moon local bottom correlation if it holds. However, given the volatility of the ending of 2021 and beginning of 2022, I have no promises for a very intense correlation to hold for the beginning of the year. So local bottom, but more likely a pivot. That's the bigger guarantee. There's almost an exact Sun conjunct Bitcoin's Jupiter and Moon opposite Bitcoin's Jupiter. So I see this being a dramatic dump and then pump out of the new moon. So dump into the full moon, sorry, not new moon, full moon, and then pump out of. I also think that Venus retrograde conjunct its natal sun shows actually a pretty nice reversal happening, so a local bottom with a pump. Mercury conjunct Bitcoin's north node is a big news indicator, like whoa, news indicator, so it could be that the pump comes from a news catalyst. Mars will have squared Bitcoin's sun a few days before, which shows some difficulty going into this, but I think we pump out. In Ethereum's chart, it's probably also a local bottom, given that the moon is within 2 degrees of Ethereum's natal Mars. I don't like that, so it could be a local bottom that takes a little bit more time to show. That could be strong market conviction, but that's usually problematic, so I think that we're dumping into this pretty hard and then rising out. Saturn is within 1 degree of its natal Mercury, so that's pretty serious news. Mercury retrograde close by. This looks like FUD. This looks like pretty bad FUD for ETH going into this. Could be a delay with ETH too, we'll see. The sun is right on top of its natal moon, so it's definitely a big day, no doubt. It looks icky. Venus conjunct its natal Pluto exactly is like whoa. Looks like big news, possibly FUD, or at least polarizing big news. However, a few days after with Mars trining ETH's Jupiter, I think that that's pretty great. So, and then Moon trine Saturn following the day after, that's supportive. So it looks like some ickiness, instability, and FUD the day of, but then we do launch out of it. If you enjoy this and you would like to check out my memberships, courses, and other offerings down below, would definitely love to have you join what we have to offer. Otherwise, make sure that you like, subscribe, and let me know down below any thoughts you have around this full moon in Cancer, especially if you are a heavy cardinal sign person being very activated during this time like I am. Otherwise, all the best wishes, and I will see you in the next one.